There's a moment right before everything breaks when silence, it is louder than any scream, louder than any ninjutsu being fired off by your favorite Naruto character. And right now, Boruto Uzumaki, he is standing on that edge yet again. He is at the precipice of that moment before everything shatters. Just like it was when Omnipotence was casted and he was quickly finding himself rocketing towards complete isolation save for a few allies. In Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, just when it seems like there are people who are slowly beginning to see Boruto for who he truly is, everything right now, it is on the verge of coming crashing down. There's a new future that's been written, one that he has altered, one that he has gambled on. And now the weight of it all, it is beginning to crush him. Because if Boruto slips this time, if Momoshiki takes over, even for a few seconds, the thin thread of trust that he's begun to rebuild with people in this post-Naruto world, that thread will begin to snap. And this time, there might not be anyone left who can actually save him. Not like last time where Sarada and Sumire and Kashin Koji, Sasuke, Eida, those characters were able to in various ways help him in that post-Omnipotence world before Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. This is the story of Boruto Uzumaki, and it might become even more alone and pushed into the shadows than ever before. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where we're going to take a look at how Boruto's fate might take a turn for the worse, not because of some brand new Otsutsuki popping up, but because due to his own actions, he might very well be setting the stage for himself to be placed into another dark corner, potentially isolated from his allies as a result. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out the chapter review, which will be linked in the description box and the end credits of this video if you haven't seen it. So we have to first start with the whole process that Boruto has been gaining allies back only to risk losing them yet again. Let's start with hope, because Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, for as much as people try to focus on, oh, it's just about power-ups, it's not only about power-ups, and it's not just about time skip, power creeps, and jutsu and etc. It's also been a very quiet and subtle emotional journey for Boruto Uzumaki as he is attempting to slowly reclaim his birthright by regaining allies that he lost. Sarada, she never stopped believing in him. We know that she stared down the entire village, calling for him to be pardoned, calling for him to be brought in so he could explain himself. She awakened the Mangekyo's Sharingan from the grief of losing him, from the helplessness and disappointment not being able to help him. She reawakened the Mangekyo's Sharingan in this current arc. Sarada's faith, it has been pure for Boruto. Sumire, she also held her ground too, showing every bit why she was referred to as class rep. She was on top of things. She was the one who immediately saw through Eida's omnipotence right when it happened, and she trusted in Boruto even though the whole world was branding him a killer. Sasuke, Boruto's mentor, his guide, his beacon of light, his muse that he wishes to become like. He sacrificed everything for Boruto, not just from the enemy who was hunting him down and eventually even falling to that enemy in the form of Code. But it's also important to note that Sasuke has once again been branded a rogue ninja, and he is being judged by the entire world. In the eyes of so many Kage and so many people around the world, they're looking at Sasuke as he has now betrayed Naruto, the very person who kept Kakashi and the other Kage from being forced to kill Sasuke, or at the very least be stuck in prison for the rest of his life. That is the ultimate form of betrayal in the eyes of so many people. Then you have Shikamaru, the 8th Hokage. He now knows the truth. That fog of omnipotence, it is still fuzzy in his mind, but he does know the truth now, and he is actively trying to fight omnipotence and help Boruto from the shadows. And slowly, we could even argue that with each interaction with Boruto, Konoha might slowly be waking up. And the moment that Damon warned Kawaki about where people would realize he lied about Naruto being killed and that he wasn't who he said he was, that moment might finally be coming. Even Eida, who was once viewed as a wild card, she told Boruto in chapter 80 of Naruto Next Generations, hey fam, I'll never use my Sharingan to look for you for as long as you stay away from the village, but once you return to the village, that's it. Well, she is now secretly working alongside Kashin Koji to help Boruto. Together, the three of them, they form the underground alliance known as Singularity of Fate in order to protect Boruto from the shadows. They each have a purpose. Boruto guiding the present with his actions, Kashin Koji seeing the multiple possible outcomes of the future, and Eida being able to see the events of the past. You'd think things are gonna get better right? Well, that's exactly what makes this next part so terrifying. There's a new threat that is here, and it is Boruto himself. Boruto is not free from fate and destiny. The chroma seal, it hasn't vanished yet. In fact, Boruto recently confessed that just activating it is enough for Momoshiki to hijack his body now. It's something that scares him. It's something that Kawaki said, like, man, this is really bad. It's gotten worse. That's how fragile the balance that Boruto has with karma has become. He's not just on a razor's edge. He might very well be in the process of falling and doesn't even know it yet. And what makes it even worse, Kawaki is nearby. The same Kawaki who is still seen around the world as not just Naruto's son, but also as someone who helped save the ninja world, not once, but twice. Because people's memories of Boruto and Kawaki are swapped, so they now believe that Kawaki is the genius grandson of the 4th Hokage, who at the age of 12 saved the ninja world from Momoshiki by helping the Kage, and then helped save the world yet again when Ishiki was on a rampage by helping Naruto and Sasuke. The irony of this whole situation is that this is the same Kawaki who believes he has to kill Boruto in order to protect Naruto. If Boruto loses control, even for a moment, everything is gonna come undone. And Kawaki's already said, I won't hesitate to kill you. That is a real possibility. Kawaki's using the Chroma Seal now. Allies like Shikamaru, who only just reopened their minds to Boruto, Sarada, who is still fighting to show the world that Boruto is good, that Boruto is misunderstood, even Kashin Koji, who was gambling on Boruto as being a singularity of fate. The events that Boruto has set in motion, first with telling Kawaki about the limiters on his body. This is going to force certain characters to reevaluate, obviously starting with Kashin Koji. He's going to be more diligent with the information he gives Boruto moving forward. You also have to wonder if Kashin Koji sees Momoshiki take over again, if he might start looking at Boruto not as a solution, but as another threat, one that might potentially need to be erased after Jura is defeated in order to preserve fate. Because in so many ways, if Kawaki is a consequentialist, Kashin Koji in so many ways is showing that he's got those same tendencies, and he's even more dangerous to a degree because we could argue that Kashin Koji has authoritarian, absolutist tendencies as well. To him, the only thing that matters is the timeline and preserving it. This is where the horror of Momoshiki's prophecy in chapter 80 really has to come into play, because he told Boruto, those who are immune to omnipotence, they shall suffer the most. It wasn't just the non-Otsutsuki. Boruto and Kawaki have suffered as well. This brings me to an even larger point. Kashin Koji and Boruto's fracturing trust. So let's start with the Kashin Koji aspect of this. He's not just an ally. He is a prophet of balance, a believer in destiny, and he is a cold, pragmatic tactician. To him, Boruto is not just a boy. He is a singularity of fate. He is a cosmic pivot point. But that belief, it comes with conditions. When Boruto changed the timeline by telling Kawaki to unlock Ishiki's full power, he betrayed Koji's methodical philosophy. Koji warned against interfering with fate recklessly. He was very adamant in chapter 16. He trusted Boruto to remain the stable variable in all these equations. Think about the scientific method. Go back to when you were in middle school and you learned about that stuff. When you ran all these different experiments, you had a control group and then you had a variable group. Kashin Koji knew what the variable was. The variable was supposed to be Boruto was acting in a controlled manner. Boruto, being every bit like Naruto's son, every bit like Kushina's grandson, decided, I'm not playing by the rules, I'm gonna do my own thing, no Miles Morales. And now that trust, it is beginning to crack faster than Minato coming up with 1,000 character linked names for jutsu, or faster than I'll write like a 90 character video title because I suck at doing titles. So if Momoshiki takes over again, Kashin Koji may interpret it as proof that Boruto can no longer steer the timeline safely. And yet at the same time, he may have to view Boruto as a necessary evil. He'll have to keep a tighter leash on him potentially. That alliance between them, it was already showing strains in the relationship. While it won't dissolve completely in my opinion, it will continue to show more cracks. Boruto's own ally, if he loses control, they're gonna have a lot more to worry about. And this brings me to an even larger point, which is the lonely future of Boruto Uzumaki, or the lonely possible future of Boruto Uzumaki. Let me make that abundantly clear, because there's been a tendency of a few people to misunderstand what's being said in the videos because they're cherry picking certain statements that are being put in here when we do discussions. So allow me to explain what I mean here. Boruto has already suffered alone. He has been branded as a killer. He has been hunted. He has been exiled. But now he stands at the edge of a far fader, cruel reality. The fear that even people who believed in him, even those people may have to wonder, are they truly safe in his presence? Sarada believes in him. Sumire believes in him. Kashin Koji needs him. Eida believes in him, or rather she views him as a necessary evil, depending on how you want to frame their relationship. Konohamaru is beginning to possibly see Boruto differently, but if he shows himself to be a monster, that just plays even further into the narrative that Kawaki has framed about Boruto's character, being someone who didn't hesitate to kill Naruto and Hinata. And the irony, the huge, poetic, heartbreaking irony, is that this is all happening because Boruto tried to change things. He was trying to rewrite fate. Juro was a problem. He saw that Kawaki had the power that could potentially help him. Kashin Koji's like, hey fam, we need to take A, B, C, D and go all the way to Z. Boruto said, that's cool fam, but if I can tell Kawaki now and he can get the power up now and we can get to Z now, why don't we just do that? And now we're in a position where Momoshiki might hijack Boruto's body now because he cannot control karma. Granted, I think the resonance is probably going to keep that from happening, or at least delay it. But what I love about what's happening with Boruto is that he tried to save everyone by acting just like Naruto. Naruto was never going to be okay with sacrificing people. Go back to his reaction when he learned about Jiraiya's death. And he knew that Tsunade, even though she was grieving, the fact that Tsunade knew there was a possibility that Jiraiya might die, it was something that tore Naruto up. He could never accept it. And Naruto threw the hurtful words back at her, saying that, hey, if Jiraiya was Hokage, he never would have let you go alone. Boruto saw as Naruto, who didn't even know Kashin Koji, as soon as Naruto hears that Kashin Koji was on a suicide mission, he got pissed off at Amato. It's just in Boruto's DNA to want to try to save people. And the straw that possibly broke the camel's back for him going out there to save Konohamaru was the fact that Kashin Koji knew that Yoda was going to die and he let it happen. Boruto is just like his father. He is not taking unnecessary deaths. Unlike his father, Boruto, even though he's got this big heart, his road, it is cursed by his own doing. There is no crowd that is cheering him on. There is no village behind him like Naruto had when Naruto was able to take down Pain. And as we saw in the Pain arc, even as far back as Naruto Part 1, people were beginning to acknowledge Naruto from the shadows, from as early as the Land of Waves arc. The perception was beginning to change on Naruto. Naruto was slowly emerging from the shadows in a very poetic scenery. Whereas the father was emerging from the shadows, we could argue that the son might be going deeper into the shadows, and sometimes that's what's needed. In order to purge a poison, sometimes you have to bleed it out. Only in Boruto's case, he isn't just going into the shadows. He's going into the shadows and he is facing a ghost in Momoshiki. That haunting voice of Momoshiki, it is there. He has been silent. But there will come a day where Momoshiki is no longer silent and he's gonna start gaslighting again. And this is what makes Boruto's fate, his suffering, even worse now. It will not always be like this, but he's going to suffer more before he gets to the end game. And this is the loneliness that comes from the boy who was immune to omnipotence. The boy who asked for none of this to happen to him. The boy who is trying to do the right things and is ironically, arguably, making things worse. That's why this will make Boruto even stronger and more relatable. And that's where there's a twist to this. This loneliness, this crushing weight, it doesn't make Boruto weak. I've seen people upset that Boruto got his ass whooped by Jura, and I will be memeing it on a thumbnail later this weekend where Boruto's face is on a punching bag and Jura's beating the crap out of him. But you have to understand why this was done. It was to make him feel real. It is very hard for people to relate to a genius prodigy who does not have to work hard, like we saw in part 1. Did Boruto train? Did Boruto put in effort in part 1 of the manga? Yes, but more people could relate to Naruto because most people are not geniuses. Now with Boruto, that genius element, it is still there, but there are still things that he has to work on. He still has obstacles that he has to overcome. In some regards, he is being treated and written like an underdog, and that makes him more relatable to your average viewer, or in this case, your average reader. Deep down, we've all felt like we've been in a Boruto type situation where we all know that feeling of what it's like to be misunderstood, to carry burdens that no one sees, to fight battles in silence, hoping someone still believes in us. To get personal, Boruto's situation reminds me of a girl that I dated in college. She got sexually assaulted by a relative. Instead of her family believing her, her family was gaslighting her, making it feel like it was her problem. That's a different extreme, but I say that to say this. Imagine that feeling of people that you thought should have been in your corner, turning around and blaming you for something that you never asked to happen to you. That's where Boruto finds himself at. Again, I know that's an extreme. I know that 11% of you guys watching the video are female subscribers based on my analytics. So if that's triggering, I apologize, but I wanted to go an extreme example just to get the point across. Boruto's story is not just about power levels, or it's about karma seals or aliens. It's about becoming a hero, even when nobody is watching, even when nobody is believing in you, even when the entire world is ready to call you a monster again if Momoshiki takes over. Boruto Uzumaki, he is no longer Naruto's son, living in the shadow of greatness, no longer being burdened with trying to break free of the familiar bonds and expectations. That was the theme of part 1. Break free of familiar bonds and expectations in order to carve your own path. Instead, he is becoming something else. He has become an underdog. He has become a symbol, or rather he is becoming a symbol of how perseverance means everything, even when something as monstrous, gigantic, monumental as fate is being rigged against you. And why is that his journey? Well, it's because it's just the beginning. Just like this is only the beginning of your time here on Naruto Explained. So click here on the left to check out this playlist on the left, or click here on the right to check out more videos from my other 2 anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.